Hey Vikings fans, Ben Lieber here, coming to you from the 2019 NFL Combine in Indianapolis. We have exclusive coverage for Vikings.com. Listen, it's day 2 of the Combine, so let's look back at day 1, check out some highlights. First and foremost, your very special and your favorite GM, Rick Spielman.
You know, I feel that we've had a very productive offseason to date. I think Coach Zimmer has done an outstanding job putting together a staff, especially on the offensive side where we had some changes to promote Kevin Stefanski, the offensive coordinator, to bring in the experience of Gary Kubiak, Rick Dennison, and the rest of the new coaches that came in to hire Moof, the new special teams coach. Very excited about the direction of this staff. I know from a general manager standpoint, this is the most exciting time of the year to get things that you need to get done to help improve your roster, and that's with free agency coming up, with the draft coming up. Our ownership group, the Wolf family, has never said no to letting us go out and get the best available talent possible for this roster. And as we went through our meetings over the last month, not only with our scouts, with our coaches, with our ownership, we'll try to be as aggressive as we can to continue to improve this roster. You know, Kirk's, because of the position and the contract, is going to get a lot of blame, but the blame has to be spread throughout. You know, our season was good enough for our standards last year. But statistically, if you look at what Kirk did, I mean, he threw for over 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, but we didn't win enough games. So I think going back to an offense that he is very familiar with, and working under that Shanahan-Kubiak tree, and really him playing better, but everybody has to play better. We all have to do better at our jobs. But him highlighting the things that he does well and but that's any player, do the things that they do well, and that's what I talked about earlier, is you have your schemes, but adjust some of the things in your scheme so you put your players in the best position to have success.
Ben Lieber here with team reporter Eric Smith. We are here at the Combine in Indianapolis. We just heard Rick Spielman get off the podium, but some big news happened today that actually didn't come from him at the podium. And what was it?
Yeah, Ben, actually Rick was at the podium today and met with the national beat writers, but he also had about a 25-minute session with Twin Cities media earlier this morning, and that is Coach Mike Zimmer's contract has been optioned for the 2020 season. So Coach Zimmer will be the coach in 2019 and 2020 going forward in Minnesota. And yeah, for sure, that's easily the biggest takeaway here.
The other thing that came up today is this whole idea about how Gary Kubiak, Clint Kubiak, Rick Dennison, the new additions, how they've all come onto the staff, thinking that what is this offensive advisor role, you know, under Kevin Stefanski, who is the offensive coordinator, but everybody seems to have this thing twisted around. Let's get some clarity to this situation, shall we?
Right. This is Kevin Stefanski's offense, and I think what Coach Kubiak's role is to be a sounding board, you know, right, to be a veteran mentor.
What's unique about Kevin is that he has no ego, and when we brought up the fact that a guy of Gary Kubiak's stature can come into our building, he was the one that was the biggest flag waiver for Gary Kubiak. He wants that, and that's what makes, I think, our building a little unique. No one really has an ego. Everybody, whatever resources we can use, whatever areas of expertise we have all these people in, let's all do it together, because ultimately we want to win.
Both Kevin Stefanski and Coach Kubiak have a healthy level of respect for one another. You know, last week Coach Stefanski said it was a no-brainer to bring in Coach Kubiak on the roster and on the coaching staff. And then Coach Kubiak said he thinks that Kevin is a future head coach in the league.
Right. The fans don't seem to quite understand is that Kubiak is not coming in here to, you know, supersede him, look over his shoulder. You know, Kevin's going to have full reign of his offense. He just has a very trusted advisor that's going to help him through this process and bounce ideas off of. Why would you want to have a guy like Gary Kubiak and his son Clint to kind of be by your side and not create any sort of issues and a power struggle? Because I've heard that as well. This is Kevin's offense. So let's get that straight. And Kubiak is there just to help mentor and kind of bounce ideas off of him. But that being said, we don't really know what this offense is going to look like. How does Kirk Cousins fit into all this?
He's going to be a big part. I think that's safe to say going forward.
The way he feels, with the quarterback we have in place and the quarterback playing in a scheme that we're probably going to evolve to highlight what Kirk does best, was one of the attractions.
Steps up, Cousins. Deep ball, separation, touchdown! Cousins is on the money!
But there is some sort of tie because, Kirk has played under Kyle Shanahan in Washington, and obviously Kyle is the son of Mike Shanahan, the former Broncos coach, and Coach Kubiak was the Broncos offensive coordinator in the late 90s when they won back-to-back Super Bowls. I think it might actually take a little bit of pressure off Kirk, because the Kubiak-Shanahan tree is run, focus, play action. Yeah. If Kirk can have that on the offense, it'll open up the passing game more. Rick Spielman really envisions a big year for Kirk Cousins in 2019. And under this new scheme, I think that's a real possibility.
And what did Mike Zimmer say at the end of the season, and actually during the course of the season, in which we saw the offensive coordinator fired, was run the ball more. I want to see you run the ball. And I think with Kevin bouncing ideas off of Gary Kubiak, having that run first mentality with play action, I think Mike Zimmer is going to not have to say those things again. I think we'll never have an issue with that.
He's probably going to get his wish. I agree.
I think so too. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Ben.
Here at the Combine, it's all about breaking down the players individually. But guess what? They've already put out a whole bunch of tape on Saturdays the last couple of years. That's what's most important. And to help us out, our very own Pete Bercich took some time out of his day, found some players that you guys might be interested in, and broke them down. Take a look.
We are going to look at a couple of the top prospects in the 2019 draft defensively. The first guy we're going to start with is Devin White out of Louisiana State University. And Devin White has the requisite size and speed to be a very good linebacker at the next level. But we're going to take a look at some of the intangibles and things that he does possess. Now, one of the things is a linebacker, right? In this case, he's covering, and he has some kind of coverage on that running back in the backfield. And as that back flares, he understands that he needs to get around this receiver who's trying to come down and pick him. The easy way, and by the easy way I mean the path of less resistance, is to come underneath that block, and most of the time that's coached as a no-no. You want to get over the top so you can come back in and get in the play, and he does exactly that. So he is aware of the block coming from the wide receiver. He gets over the top, and the corner does a great job of turning him back inside. And what he's able to do now is plant his foot and get back in this play and then make the tackle. So he sees the running back cutting back, gets in on a tackle, and then he finishes it. And we're going to see that a lot with him in all of his film. But not just making the tackle, but getting that football loose, getting the football back on the ground, because it's the job of the defense to get the ball back into the hands of the offense. And even better is when you can scoop and score. Coming from the outside, his ability to rush the passer. In this case, he's one-on-one with a tight end. And ideally, you'd like to say a linebacker should beat a tight end most of the time. And in this case, he does a wonderful job of dipping underneath, keeping his hips and his shoulders low. So from a technique standpoint, he's giving you now some off-the-edge kind of juice. A lot of these middle linebackers can play between the tackles, and then they struggle at the pass rush. Well, this kid has both. The tight end oversteps. He rips that, he clubs that arm underneath, and he gets that right foot through to get to the back of the tight end, trying to get the football loose, trying to make another play. Jonathan Abram, Mississippi State University, a very fast and physical safety. He's one-on-one on the slot receiver. He's in his back pedal. He knows the receiver is going to run the go route. And you watch the separation. He's only separated by about 1.5 yards, and he's still not completely into his turn. But his body position is going to force this receiver to widen his go route. And by doing that, that buys him time to get back underneath it. So the receiver has to widen, it buys him time, but then he has that acceleration to be able to get back underneath it, and he doesn't look back. One of the big mistakes that young DBs, if they're behind someone, they'll want to look back too soon, and that creates space. That's why you don't run the 40 looking over your shoulder. He closes that gap, gets within arm's length, and then looks back and then makes a play on the football. The last thing, you got a guy now who can play coverage. Now you've got a guy who can blitz as well. Now this is a safety versus a running back, and you're not going to always get a safety that has the ability to put a shoulder down on a running back and then make a play. And we get the end zone angle here, you're going to see he's coming off this edge, and this running back is going to scan across the formation and try to put a block on him. And this kid here wants to get to the quarterback. Right now that running back has the right angle. He comes in, puts a shoulder, and then literally knocks that tailback into the next time zone. But not only that, but when he gets there, he's able to get there, and then late trying to pull that ball out as the quarterback is on the way down. Because, again, that's what you want. You want guys that are going to create turnovers. So in this case, two very, very good defenders. Love their intangibles. They can pretty much do everything, and they do the little things the right way. These guys are impressive players.
There's a lot of attention that happens here in Indianapolis at the NFL Scouting Combine, but the main thing is, it's all about the players. People want to see the players. So here's the lineup of the position groups and what day they're going to work out. On Friday, it's the running backs, the offensive line, which most Vikings fans are pretty interested in, and special teams. On Saturday, it's the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, and the tight ends. On Sunday, the defensive line, the linebackers, and on Monday, the 2019 NFL Scouting Combine concludes with the defensive backs working out. Well, that'll do it for today at the 2019 NFL Scouting Combine here in Indianapolis. Please come back tomorrow and check us out on Vikings.com for all the latest and greatest Vikings news in the days to come.